This is going to be a mess around the Atlanta area, and for flights, there's going to be cancellations, delays. I mean, we're talking about rain totals nearing a foot in some areas across Georgia, but not only that, you have the hurricane force winds that extend well inland. But I know a lot of you are staying up here with us tonight, and I'm going to break down some of those impacts here locally and what we expect. And a lot of what we're seeing right now, of course, the major hurricane impacts along the coast. Now, if you have interest here, Panama City, just want to show you what it looks like as it's made landfall. Hurricane Helene, and now it will pull away. There's more of an offshore flow here, but as you can see, it's not whiteout conditions. So certainly things look much better there over towards Panama City. It's a different story over towards Perry, Florida. And right now, Perry this is where it made landfalls in the eye. And I just want to show you as we go over to, I had one of the sources pulled up. This was from earlier at Perry, Florida, from WTVY. Their hurricane tracker was there at landfall, but you can see that northern eye wall. You look ahead, you can see the whiteout conditions there with that heavier rain and gusty winds moving in, but it has gone calm there right now. But I know it's difficult at night, of course, and especially with all the power out in those areas. You just saw flash after flash from those power transmission lines, and this is going to cause a lot of power outages as far north, Valdosta, well into Georgia. Now, this is Doppler radar velocity, and you're looking higher up into the atmosphere, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about with these winds. And as it's making landfall, we're still seeing winds possibly around 100 miles per hour, topping that mark, and that's getting close to I-10 right there, not far from Tallahassee, with those stronger wind gusts moving in. So what happens with this tonight? This is 2 a.m. So really the center of Helene does not pass Alabama to the east until after midnight. So you may wake up here in East Alabama, hear those winds start to whipping as this passes by. That's going to be moving across Macon and then reaching the Atlanta area, and it's still a hurricane likely by this point, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning as it moves to the east. And the center looks like it goes near Athens there as it moves to the north. A lot of rain, and the risk for flooding around the Atlanta area will continue. There have already been some flash flood warnings for today. But one thing you notice, you're watching East Alabama here, you see we just kind of catch the western edge of that. We're certainly on the better side of this system. Wind speeds 30, 40 miles per hour. But notice as it moves north, there's a second system that's back here, an upper level trough, and it just kind of pulls this thing and absorbs Helene, or what's left of it, and it kind of merges over the next couple days. So what happens is tomorrow, as this energy swings through, it gets windy again. And I think tomorrow we could have some winds 30, 40 miles per hour. Not a lot of rain. You can see maybe some showers that rotate through with that. And then, of course, things settle down and winds relax some this weekend, finally Saturday and into Sunday. But that's what we're going to be dealing with here. Just to show you those wind speeds, looking at East Alabama tonight, you can see the greatest winds. Looks like it's going to roll in here around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then the wind speeds start to kind of back off some as we, hit the morning drive time. And then later in the day, well, here it comes again, 3 o'clock. And this includes West Alabama. You can see there, look at those 40 mile per hour winds moving across the area. So it's going to be windy for sideline and a few showers out there tomorrow night. But another thing, we're talking about showers and where it's raining right now. I want to go to radar. Tania, I was noticing Lee County now in the Auburn area under a flash flood warning.
Yeah, and listen, going back to Steve's question, Wes, the big thing that many people are going to run into if they have to make any morning commutes throughout Friday is going to be trouble spots from all the rain that's going to be left over from the rain we're seeing right now and in the overnight hours. So you definitely want to make sure you are giving yourself extra drive time. The good thing is what Wes was saying here across central Alabama is that we're not going to see those biggest impacts, especially areas to the west of I-65 from Hurricane Helene. Areas to the east, though, you'll likely see some trouble spots like Wes was mentioning down in Lee County. They're already seeing implications from flooding from all the heavy rain that they've been seeing on and off throughout today and throughout tonight. But the big story is if you have to take any of those major interstates or roads and you're heading east, if you're in central Alabama and you're heading east, one of the big concerns is going to be flooding problems. Notice we do still have a flood watch in effect for East Alabama here across central Alabama, including Coleman County, Blount, Etowah, over towards Cherokee, down to Cleburne, Calhoun, St. Clair County, Talladega, Clay, Randolph Chambers, Coosa, and even Tallapoosa County are included in that flood watch. This is in effect until your Friday morning at 7 a.m. We can see rainfall total still slightly above 4 inches, especially in some ice isolated spots. So again, flooding will be a concern over the next several hours. East Alabama and areas further east, like in parts of Georgia. But as we take another look at the next 24 hours, you can see how that heavy rainfall really begins to pick up overnight for East Alabama. But as we reach the time that you're waking up, going to work and school about 6 to 8 a.m., things will be a lot better as far as rain coming down. But winds will still be another problem tomorrow late afternoon. I want to check in with our meteorologist Lauren Linehan, who's out in East Alabama, because she's been experiencing whether that's those gusty winds or those on and off rain chances. Lauren, we know that things could be getting worse in the overnight hours, but what exactly are you experiencing right now?
Yeah, well, Tania, you mentioned, in East Alabama today, we've been having some off and on rain. It's been fairly light to moderate. We actually just left East Alabama and we are now moving west on I-20, actually getting back into the Birmingham area because I was looking at First Alert AccuTrack and I was telling our photojournalist here, we maybe could go back to Birmingham. There's actually been a little bit of rain showing up on radar there as well. Now, as you were mentioning earlier, the flood watch is no longer in effect in areas like Jefferson, Shelby County, but hey, we could still get some beneficial rainfall out of it, even if it's not as much as areas east. But so far the breeze hasn't picked up yet. You all were noting those we go into the overnight, and tomorrow it could certainly be breezy. But honestly, around the Birmingham area, traffic is moving very well. When we were over in areas like Anniston and Oxford, we did notice that there had been some of those utility trucks that were lining up. So I'll just kind of give you a view right now as we're going back into the city. You'll see we're actually just passing now by Protective Stadium and moving south back into the city. There's not too much rain around. It's just very light rain that's been around, so the roads aren't too bad to travel on. But we all know here in Birmingham, it doesn't take a lot of rain for there to be issues on the road. So definitely check back in the morning as well with Destiny and Caroline. They'll be sure to have updates for you on Good Day Alabama if we do see any issues with rain or even some breezy conditions around. But it's just such a different story here in central Alabama than our folks in Georgia. I know I can't stop looking at radar. I've been talking with my mom nonstop. She lives in Valdosta. That core of the strongest winds is about to come in. That extreme wind warning that was in the Florida Big Bend has actually been extended into parts of South Georgia. We're talking Brooks County, Lowndes County, even over into Thomas County, where you could be seeing winds in excess of 100 miles per hour moving inland. And they're saying, hey, treat this like a tornado warning. So if you have any friends or family there, be the hero. Let them know to stay down and hunker in their safe space. We're very thankful things are very different here in Birmingham. So on that note, your meteorologist in Birmingham, Lauren Linehan, WBRC 6 News, on your side.
Thank you, Lauren. While we here in central Alabama look for Helene's impact, this is a live look at Atlanta, where the storm is just starting to have an impact.
Right, and this storm is the strongest storm to make landfall in the U.S. this year. So think of that when you're talking about Hurricane Helene. Extremely strong winds, those winds above 140 miles per hour. Of course, you can stay with us right here on WBRC. Wes and Tania will continue to track Hurricane Helene for you. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Continuing at special coverage right now as we track Helene. It's making landfall there along the Gulf Coast. And just want to let you know here as you head off to bed what to expect this evening tonight. And really, a lot of those stronger winds probably reach east Alabama 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. But before you do go to bed, especially if you're in those tropical storm warnings, we do have some of those across our far eastern counties. That includes Cherokee, Cleburne, Randolph, and Chambers. That's where we really think if we do see 39, 40 mile per hour wind gusts, might be a few random power outages early morning hours, and also could see some flooding as this heavy rain is just now starting to set up across those eastern counties. Now, further west you go, even for Birmingham and points to the west in the morning, it's just breezy for the most part and not a lot of wet weather. We'll see a lot of this heavy rain lift out early tomorrow, and then what's going to happen, I mentioned on here, windy again tomorrow area wide, which is kind of interesting. You know, we've been talking all about Helene, but I don't want us to miss there's a disturbance to the northwest that's going to swing through, and we'll see those wind speeds ramp up again. Could have some gusts over 30 miles per hour into tomorrow night, and that's probably going to actually impact most of the state as that moves through. Nothing like what's happening right now, though, across Florida. I just want to show you, look at the power outages here, and I mean, this is just beginning. Look at the over here around Gainesville, Florida right now, 78,000 without power, and in that county, 22,000, and those numbers just continue to add up. The Tallahassee area right now looks like 30,000 customers without power. So, and this will continue well into Georgia, obviously, as Lauren was mentioning. Lauren has family there in Valdosta. Those strong winds, you know, from Michael, we saw a similar setup here, a fast mover. So as it races to the north, you actually get the tropical storm and even hurricane force winds that can extend well inland, as we know all too well here in Alabama. You know, you think back to systems like Frederick and Ivan. As those systems moved in fairly quickly, we did see some of those stronger wind gusts. But this time, even though it is to the east of Alabama, some of those impacts on the far western edge will reach the far eastern part of our state. So that's what we generally expect out of this, mostly just some showers. And again, as you can see on the radar right now, the rain's not too heavy. And as we've been checking in with Lauren, so far tonight, the rainfall's been on the lighter side, with the exception you go far east over into Cleburne County. You can see some heavier pockets of rain. And look at all these. These are all flood warnings and currently flash flood warnings around the Atlanta area. And it's going to rain like this all night and throughout the morning tomorrow. This heavier rain will start to wrap in here, Tania. And, you know, one thing we were watching also with the winds, you know, just kind of talking about what kind of wind speeds it would take to produce tree damage and cause massive power outages. You had some nice reference material to share with us.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to share that in just a second. But let's take a quick look at what those current wind gusts are across central Alabama. We're seeing winds gusting closer to 20 miles per hour on and off across the area. 22 mile per hour wind gusts there in St. Clair County. We've got 22 mile per hour wind gusts in Centerville, that's Bibb County area. A lot lighter winds for far west Alabama. So if you're in Pickens County up to Marion, a little breezy, but you're not really seeing the bulk of any activity as of right now. Matter of fact, it's dry for your area, especially areas west of I-65. But I was just putting together this graphic, didn't quite finish. I want to show you guys this really quickly. I'm going to take this banner off so that you get a better view of what this graphic shows. Thankfully, we're not seeing wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour here across central Alabama, but that's a different story for areas across North Florida and southern Georgia. This is what 80 mile per hour wind gusts can do. Exterior damage to homes, businesses, signs, knocking down those trees, and that's what prompts those power outages. You can see push or overturn manufactured homes, so those mobile homes especially. Vehicles on those roadways, that's why we tell you to get out of those cars and into a structured building. And then we can also see flying debris and, of course, power outages. So it doesn't take very, very strong winds, but those tropical storm-like wind conditions, hurricane force winds, are definitely not something you want to play around with in situations like this. I want to show you really quick our radar one more time. We're not seeing the bulk of that wet weather just yet, but we'll continue to give you updates in the minutes ahead right here. I want to toss it back to Brittany.
Hi, so we're talking and looking at the impacts that Helene is having on travel. Some folks are catching flights, and you're definitely, if you're having to go to Atlanta, you are going to get impacted by this.
This is amazing. You know, today, Birmingham Shuttlesworth with 25 delays, 3 cancellations. Hartsfield Jackson and Atlanta, 600 delays, 200 cancellations. And that's just with the storm not even close to Atlanta.
Yeah, you know how it goes too. It just continues to back up there. And Steve and Brittany, right now we're seeing the heavy rain over the Atlanta area already causing some flash flood warnings. And throughout the morning tomorrow, there's going to be some major delays and some major issues there trying to get out of Atlanta, but also not just by air, but also you can see I-20 just absolutely pouring. There's going to be some areas where we see flooding along some of those roadways there and some trouble spots. And look at the flood warnings. What a polygon that extends all the way down to Thomaston, Georgia there. So again, you know, that's what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. We're going to be seeing some major impacts to the east of us early in the day, and the heaviest of the rain, even though that is going to lift to the north, there will be some lingering impacts from all that rain that fell overnight.
And Wes, tomorrow, what can we expect in the morning? Are we going to get a lot of rain early in the morning when folks are headed back to school? Because not all schools are experiencing delays or anything like, or cancellation.
Yeah, I think in the morning, you know, especially Birmingham and points west, we're going to be in fine shape tomorrow. It felt great out there today, and I mean, that's what we're going to deal with again to start the day tomorrow. Main issues are going to be over far eastern Alabama. Now, I mentioned tomorrow during the afternoon, I was telling JP and Tania today, you know, we're looking at the data, and we've been talking about this hurricane all week and how it, you know, could bring some gusty winds to the eastern part of the state, but it's going to be breezy area wide later in the day tomorrow and tomorrow night. There won't be a lot of rain around tomorrow. It's going to be kind of cloudy. Might see a few showers coming in, but as far as out the door tomorrow morning hitting the road, the only areas where I think we'll really need to watch it will be, of course, we've been monitoring over towards the far eastern counties, Anniston, back in towards Center, Ashland, Talladega, those locations. As far as Birmingham goes, rain is very light at the moment, and those rainfall rates won't be as intense around here. We've had just very light rain. It's been kind of misty, if you notice, earlier tonight, and that's kind of what we're dealing with. Yeah,
and you got Friday Night Football. Will the winds just be high, or will they be actually dangerous, Wes?
Well, it's going to be gusty. I mean, 30 miles per hour. It's going to be whipping out there tomorrow night for parts of the area. It's kind of interesting. You know, it looks like another little band of gusty winds make their way across the area. But a lot of you have been concerned this week. You know, we've been talking a lot about the games coming up this weekend. And as far as Friday night, you can see there just a chance for a few showers. But again, winds will be out of the west-southwest direction up to 30 miles per hour. Could see some higher gusts. Now, it won't be as windy on Saturday, so you don't have to worry about the tailgate tent blowing away on Saturday, but we will see maybe a couple of isolated showers showing up on Saturday as well.
All right, thanks, Wes. I want to show you the view from here at top Red Mountain, where we're already seeing a little bit of rain. And the weather team will have a final look at tonight's forecast for you to get ready for your day tomorrow just ahead.
Okay. All right, and we are back here. Just want to update you one more time before we sign off here, just to show you where we have some of that rain falling at the moment. Nothing too extreme out there. Get some rest tonight. It's just a lot of showers that we see at the moment there around Hueytown, Adamsville. You can see a few showers over around Coleman, Hanceville. Very light winds at this time. Going to be watching these counties here, I think, for the greatest impacts during the early morning over towards Anniston, Jacksonville. Need to watch it there from Fort Payne down through Center. Some gusty winds, some heavier rainfall early in the morning. No tornadoes expected out of this. I know with a system like this, we've been seeing a lot of those warnings happening down across Florida, over into Georgia. We're going to be on the side of the system where we will not see those warnings, just mostly a lot of wind and rain as Helene, I keep saying Helena, but as Helene passes to the east of Alabama. But certainly a serious situation right now. A lot of folks I know of around Tallahassee are in the dark right now, and as it moves quickly, that eye is already completely over land. As you can see now over Perry, Florida, about to get the southern edge of that eye wall as it moves to the north. Wind gusts to the south, you can see they're topping 30 miles per hour, even showing Clanton there, kind of breezy early in the day, those winds whipping early in the morning, and probably East Alabama doesn't let up a lot there through mid-morning. Now, not too bad over West Alabama and Birmingham, but for the rest of the state, it starts to increase again later tomorrow. You can see they're quite breezy as we head into the evening. So some gusty winds for Friday night football. Not a lot of wet weather, though. We'll see maybe some showers left over. Heaviest of the rain really is going to happen with what reaches us tonight and into early tomorrow, and then we'll see those scattered showers. And 10-day forecast, you can see we have just a 40% chance of rain tomorrow. It looks like things finally settle down, not as breezy for Saturday and Sunday. And next week, we don't see any tropical systems. You know, we got through Francine, and now we got through this system, and hopefully things will settle down. There's another system that's way out in the Atlantic, and that particular system is no threat to us. So that system is going to continue way out over the Atlantic, so no worries about Isaac.
That's good news to hear. It's always better to prepare for the worst, but then if we just get a little bit of rain and some wind here locally, that's good news for us, right?
Yeah, so good news in the morning, and that's one of the reasons we want to stay with you here tonight, just to update you on what you can expect when you wake up in the morning. We're not expecting whiteout conditions or major hurricane force winds, anything like that.
But you can expect some school closings and cancellations.
Yeah, especially in East Alabama. Yeah, and here's the list for you, and we've had it scrolling at the bottom of our screen here.
Yes, throughout the newscast. So if you are wondering if your school system is having any delays or cancellations, this list is also on our website. You can go to the WBRC News app and check if your school is having any closings or cancellations due to this weather impact. But of course, Wes and Tania will continue to track Hurricane Helene. We're all staying with you here on air until 11, and we'll be online. Wes stays on social media a lot, so he's going to be updating you there.
Look, I have been staring at so many models this week. I mean, everything I look at, I see a model line. I mean, it's been like that for the past couple of weeks, you know, but you try to analyze. It really is incredible that last week we started talking about this, and it's incredible. I was just thinking how far the science has come since I started doing this. And I mean, to be able to say that we could potentially have a category, major hurricane 2 weeks out, and the thing hasn't even formed. It just formed a couple days ago. That's just amazing, but that's where we're at in the science. And I know there's a lot of models and sometimes a lot of frustration, you know, trying to figure out where these things are going. You know, we're really fortunate this time. I mean, this one at one point, it looked like it may really move right through the center of Alabama as it moved to the north, but it did trend to the east. But listen, there's going to be some significant impacts. Folks dealing with a lot over in Georgia tonight.
Yeah, and you know, this is one thing that we get to see because we work here, but you know, people don't see how you guys prepare for these types of events days, sometimes weeks in advance, and that's how you're able to come to folks so prepared with so much information.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning behind the scenes, you know, that goes on here, and you know, we evaluate the forecast, but we try to stay consistent, you know, and one thing, you know, that we want to make sure we're right about this, you know, when we're trying to forecast where these things are going. There's a lot of information that gets thrown around, you know, it's a different world with social media these days. A lot of models get shared, a lot of information, and you know, that's why I always say, you know, tune in, because we try to keep it grounded, you know, what we're seeing, what could really happen. And you know, for folks to the east tonight, it looks like that track track, it actually did move a little bit further to the east compared to the earlier hurricane center tracks, and that's why they had the big cone of uncertainty. But it's impressive how far north those winds will reach into the state of Georgia, so we'll certainly be tracking that tonight. Of course, we have Megan and Mickey tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah, and speaking of Atlanta, you are looking at Centennial Park with the Ferris wheel there, and you're seeing the rain, but the wind already pushing its way into the Atlanta area, and the flooding potential that you talked about there, just amazing to see tonight.
Yeah, already right now, flash flood warnings in Atlanta, and the hurricane's still on the coast.
Right, Wes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for keeping us abreast on what's happening with this storm. Thank you for sticking with us. Good Day Alabama starts at 4.
Good night and stay safe.